typical day in parent and child fostering is a busy day. The role of the foster carer in these placements is to support and also to help train the mum or dad in best practice, the ways to look after their child, how to prioritise their child, and how to care for them on a day-to-day basis. Many of the parents have come from families themselves where they haven't been cared for very well, so they haven't had an example of how to parent a child. And it's up to us as foster carers with our own children to role model that as well, so they see how we look after our children. It can start off really busy, can't it, with the baby sleeping in your room until you know that mum's okay to have the baby in her room, and we'll wake up and feed them. But even so, very often I would have to get up and do night feeds with them as well to support them in their night feeds. That can be really busy if you have newborn twins, premature newborn twins, which we had once. That was exhausting. So really in that case, she was a very young mum, so she would feed one baby, I would feed the other to make sure that the children's best interests were kept at the forefront and their welfare was looked after. It is again a really rewarding kind of fostering, I think, parent and child. Some of the parents didn't get to keep their children, and those children then went on to adoptive placements, but some did go home with their babies, and we're still in touch with a couple of them, aren't we, which is really lovely. And they've gone on to have other children, and they bring them to visitors and things like that.
It's one of the really nice things. We are still in touch with almost all of the folk that have come through here in one guise or another.
Yeah, most of the children we've fostered we're in touch with in some way or another, aren't we?
And we have quite an extended family now of it. They do become part of your family. And we would tag team it where Emma would do one day, then I would do the next day, and we just flip-flop days because, as she said, it's extremely tiring monitoring someone all the time, but also recording it.
Yeah, you have to record. There's quite a lot of paperwork in parent and child fostering where you're recording everything that the parent's doing.
Every detail.
So that there's the evidence there to show whether they are supporting their child correctly or not. So you're looking at everything from their eye contact when they're feeding the baby to how they're playing with the baby, whether they're giving enough tummy time, things like that. Are they prioritising baby over phone calls with partners or things like that? And then you're recording all that so that there's evidence there for, at the end of the day, for the courts to decide whether baby stays with mum or doesn't.
And normally
it's quite a responsibility, really, isn't it?
Yes. Normally these placements would last about 12 weeks, but we did have one mum with us for 8 months.
Yeah, some of them can go on longer than 12 weeks.
And at the end of that 8 months, we'd written 200,000 words. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but it needs to be managed.
And I think the important thing to remember is there is no set end date.
No.
So every parent needs a different amount of time to demonstrate whether they can care for their child or not. So you can't go into a placement thinking, right, this is 12 weeks and we'll book a holiday in 12 weeks because it'll be, our break. That won't necessarily happen. So it is quite unpredictable on when you're going to get a bit of a break after parent-child placement, isn't it?
Which was okay from our point of view because that's how we lived in the military. Very unpredictable. Yes, and finding a holiday sometimes was quite tricky.
Usually last minute.
Last minute.com.